Hello, I'm Andrew Stalker, and this is my response to the scenario that was posited in the Leadership CRM 703 course. The scenario states that I'm the CEO of a small biotech company, and we have a new investigational product, an antiviral agent that is showing promising results but it's early in phase two studies. Uh, the population, the general public, is requesting that it be released to the public because it's showing effective data and it could potentially save lives or mitigate disease. So my response to that would be creating a dialogue with the public, probably on an open forum. And in that forum, I would explain that while the data is promising, there are specific reasons that investigational drugs have to go through certain stages: phase one, phase two, phase three. And each phase is they have to meet certain mile markers, certain milestones in order to determine whether or not they're safe and effective. And in phase one, it's really just about finding the right dose. In phase two, it's early data that we're safety and efficacy with smaller sample sizes. With phase three, we use a lot more subjects over a longer period of time to determine long-term safety and long-term efficacy. To skip that step would be detrimental in several ways. Now, I understand as the CEO that there are a lot of other factors that need to be considered: the financial obligations to other shareholders, to the public. We also have to maintain that we're releasing a safe product and that it's gone through the due diligence of studying. And to do that, we have to conduct a phase three study. For example, there have been numerous investigational products that have been removed from the market because they didn't show safety or efficacy over long periods of time. For example, there are several drugs that you can look up on the FDA website, and they'll show you where they went through phase two trials, and it was very promising data that was recovered from those trials. But during phase three, they discovered issues and data that was incongruent with what they saw in phase two. That being the case, by skipping that step, we're potentially putting people who would use this product at harm. And so it is the responsibility and obligation of biotech companies and pharmaceutical companies to do their due diligence and complete these trials to the best of their ability over the length of time that is required by them. Just two examples that I had found: there was a drug that was called torcetrapib. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize. But it was a drug used to treat cardiovascular events. And this drug showed promising results in phase two trials. And so it went on to phase three. And in phase three, when it was compared to a placebo with, I think it was over 1,500 people, when it was compared to a placebo, the drug actually showed to increase the prevalence of cardiovascular events, and it increased the mortality rate of people who took it. And so the trial had to stop because it was discovered in phase three that it really wasn't that safe. If we were to relate this to this new investigational antiviral drug, we could possibly be releasing a drug that creates more harm than good. We can't take data at such an early stage and apply that to a long-term safety. It is our responsibility as researchers, as leaders in the field, to make the tough decisions. And while I understand the necessity for having a treatment, especially amidst this pandemic, we need to do our responsibility and we need to do our jobs properly and effectively. And we can't cut corners because others might want us to. We can't cut corners because the public demands treatment now. We can't cut corners because our shareholders demand that their financial requirements are met. That's a big hat to wear, and it's difficult. But it's the responsibility of a leader to wear that hat and to make those difficult decisions. So in my response, I would understand and I would empathize with the public, but I would not lessen my values and concede to what the public was demanding if I knew the due diligence for this trial or this drug had not been met. So I would not release the drug. I would continue on with the trial. I would likely try to utilize an adaptive trial. Therefore, we could mix phase 2 and phase 3 together and hopefully streamline the data so we could release it earlier than anticipated. I would be willing to work with something like that. But to release the drug and, file for emergency use authorization, to do something like that without all the data being in and without having any data depicting long-term safety, I could not in good conscience release that drug. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later.